And Rishi Sunak laid the blame for failed London Mayor Sadiq Khan's hated ULEZ expansion solely at Labour's door in an exclusive interview with GBNews political editor Christopher Hope. Watch.
This is solely the responsibility of the Labour Party and the Labour Mayor Sadiq Khan and Keir Starmer. It's for them to explain why they think this is the right thing to do, and they should do that. I don't think it's the right priority. People have made their views very clear, and now it's up to them to explain themselves and why they think this is the right thing to do.
Outrage at the cash-grabbing scheme boiled over into all-out resistance yesterday, with anti-ULEZ protesters dubbed Blade Runners taking to the streets to knock over and board up ULEZ cameras. So, could stubbornly forcing through the hated scheme mark the end of the road for Sadiq Khan? Dan at gbnews.com. Vote in our poll at GBNews on Twitter. But to clash on this now, I'm joined by Reform UK's London mayoral candidate, Howard Cox, and the meteorologist, Jim Dale. So, Howard, look, I mean, you believe in this so strongly, you are actually running for the first time as a politician to try and boot Khan from office. Do you think there's a realistic prospect? Because it does feel like a lot of folk in the elite, the media elite, have missed the sense of anger out there over this.
Well, it's palpable, Dan. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm 68 years of age, and for 50 years I voted Tory. And unfortunately, what we're seeing now here is two parties, Labour and Tory, that are actually fighting for the net zero position. And what we should be looking is actually looking at people because every single one of their policies is trying to hit them in the pocket. People, especially low-income families. ULEZ is a crass, stupid, punishing tax. We don't need it.
So you saying it will go all together?
Yeah. Well, when I stand, I'm going to get rid of all of ULEZ, not just the extension.
Because the problem is the Conservative Party only getting rid of the extension.
That's correct.
Jim Dale, surely this should be the end of Sadiq Khan's road. I mean, he has literally completely ignored the will of the people.
I disagree. There's a fresh, clean breeze blowing after yesterday down that road. I think most Londoners in Greater London, because obviously that's the expansion, are happy about it. I think people want. I think it does actually. The majority. The first ULEZ, the first central London ULEZ came in a couple of years ago, and at the time there was a little bit of a furore going on, and I think that's calmed down a lot. There wasn't a lot said a year later, and I think exactly the same will happen with this. I know that there will be
absolutely no way.
You think it's still good? Well, you're probably going to be the only one who
I'm not the only one.
And Susan Hall as well. Yes, of course.
There are millions of people out there so angry, low-income families, sole traders, etc. And this whole premise of the ULEZ being introduced, the extension, is based on a lie. False healthcare data, health fatality data. And you said about people, there was a public consultation which was a sham. Two out of three people were against it.
I mean, Jim Dale, that's a fair point, isn't it? He swindled the science. What about the Imperial College report? You know, here's Khan trying to sell to the public, it reduced the emissions by 49%. No, Imperial found it was only 3%. That's not just a small lie, Jim. That's a whopper. That's one of the biggest lies the British public have ever been told in the history of politics.
Should we just go back to basics and just say what comes out of the back of car engines, car exhaust, is poisonous? And, you know,
it does not matter.
If that was the case, why did Khan need to lie? Let's address the lie. Why would he need to lie?
It's put out by others on the other side that says it was a lie. Sometimes academics do, scientists. I think that was between two scientists, two scientific bodies that were having a debate, having an argument about certain figures.
What about the death numbers? Because there's no debate about that.
No, they die.
Khan said 4,000 people dying annually.
A complete lie.
When air pollution has only ever appeared on one death certificate.
Of worldwide, if we can go worldwide, rather than just specific. Well, it doesn't matter. Pollution. This is the bit that I have a problem with. As somebody who works in the weather and environment and all the rest of it, to me this is absolute common sense. You walk down the Marylebone Road even now, or the North Circuit, or wherever you want to go, and there's traffic fumes. You don't go home very easily feeling particularly well.
Let me ask you
and it might be the same in the tube as well. But
you knew I was going to come on to that.
Of course.
But Jim, let me ask this very honestly, a fair question.
Yeah.
If he's so worried about air quality, why doesn't he ban all internal combustion engines? He's saying, bring in your dirty diesel. I'm happy to do that as long as you give me the dosh.
Because you can do it. I'll tell you who we should turn to, because me and I we were having a discussion out there, and we agreed that we both want clean air.
Absolutely.
Anybody watching this
But the
programme...
air is cleaner than it's been in hundreds of years.
No, it's not. And a lot of that is governed by what
it's cleaner than it's been since the Industrial Revolution, Jim.
The pollution is often governed by the weather. In other words, when you get static weather, as we will do next week, when we go back to a little bit of a heat wave, there's something for everybody.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit of that.
Yeah.
With a high pressure on top of us, you've got that air subsiding. It's going to put the pollution levels up. You get a bit of a wind, like we've got, say, in the last month or so. It moves it on. So this is something that moves around. It's not. But I want to go back to that
conversation. Say that London is in the top 25% of the cleanest cities in the world.
Well, let's get to the very top. Let's keep going. Let's make this greener and better.
All right. This debate, I think it's going to continue throughout this election season. Thank you to Jim Dale and Howard Cox. But, of course, both sides of the story here on GB News, and a spokesperson for the Mayor of London said about that Imperial College report, the ULEZ analysis from the engineering department at Imperial only paints a partial picture, not accounting for the full lifetime impact of the scheme and only focusing on its immediate impact around its launch. So there you go. So who do you agree with on this? Should the ULEZ expansion mark the end of the road for London's failed mayor? Sean on Twitter writes, yes, he should go. Sadiq Khan has absolutely ruined London with his woke ULEZ that not a single Londoner wanted in the first place. It is another poll tax to fill his own pockets. From Elaine, absolutely. How he has managed to be mayor for all these years is beyond me. His policies are dreadful. And Cole writes, I sincerely hope so. I live in one of the poorest boroughs in London where crime rates have risen dramatically in the last decade. Khan is more focused on ULEZ than tackling London's citywide crime problems. And your verdict is now in. It's an overwhelming result. 92% of you say that the ULEZ expansion should mark the end of the road for Sadiq Khan. Just 8% of you supporting him.